Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time, I saw The Spirit. It's a 2008 superhero film directed by Frank Miller, and it stars Gabriel Macht, Eva Mendes, Sarah Paulson, Scarlett Johansson, and Samuel L. Jackson. In this film, a rookie cop named Denny Colt returns from the beyond as the Spirit, a hero whose mission is to fight against the bad forces from the shadows of Central City. The octopus, who kills anyone unfortunate enough to see his face, has other plans. He is going to wipe out the entire city. So, what did I think of The Spirit? Well, just to show you how I watched it. I have this whole thing, so I have now seen all of these. Um, so that's cool. Um, this is kind of in the vein of Sin City in a way because of how big Sin City was. Frank Miller, I'm guessing, got his own adaptation. So this is kind of a passion project for him, I guess. Especially since the guy who wrote the comics was a good friend of his. Um, and while I've heard that this is horribly inaccurate to the comics, I still kind of enjoyed it. It had kind of a goofy charm to it that I don't see in a lot of superhero movies, especially nowadays, where they're so goofy yet they take themselves so serious. So it was nice to see kind of a goofier side that wasn't all serious or all goofy. It was nice to see that. But let me get to the cast. Gabriel Macht plays the Spirit, or Denny Colt. This actor's been in a few films. I'm not big on him. Most of what I've seen him in, done a, I thought he did a pretty not great job, and this continues it. I think he is the worst part of the entire film. He has trouble with the narration throughout, where he doesn't sound convinced by his own stuff. The only scenes where I thought he was okay was in the scenes where he's trying to like woo over these women, but still, not much I can say about that. Um, Ava Mendes plays Sans Serif, this girl from his childhood who's become a I mean, she's doing crime. She's getting loads of money out of guys and then killing them or having them kill themselves. She's there. I love Ava Mendes as an actress. I think she's very good in a lot of things, but here she doesn't have a lot to do, really. Even though I thought she could have been a really interesting character, but she just doesn't do much. Um, Sarah Paulson plays Ellen Dolan. She's a doctor that knows how to work on the spirit. She's fine. Um, Scarlett Johansson plays Silken Floss, who is kind of a partner of the octopus. Scarlett Johansson is the actor in the film outside of Gabriel Macht. She's very robotic as usual. I've never really cared for Scarlett Johansson as an actress, except when she's playing a robot. Um, and Samuel Jackson plays the octopus, and I'd say he is a big shining light in this film, as I found his performance to be pretty fun, and uh, and I he seems to be chewing the scenery in just the right way. Um, and yeah, he made for a fun villain. So with this film, this is one of those where it's kind of hard for me to tell if I legitimately enjoyed it as a film, like thought it was good, or if it was just kind of batshit insane and entertaining. I'm kind of leaning more to that. I'm not saying this is like a total bust, for sure, because I do think a lot of work went into this, and I do think that Uh, I definitely think that um there's quite a few good things to be said about this film. But as a comic book film with apparently not a lot in common with its source material, it's fine. I think it's fine. It's visually stimulating enough. It's not too long. That's a big thing I can give to it. It is uh 103 minutes, so an hour and 43 minutes, not too long at all. A lot of superhero movies around that time were fucking like insanely long. They probably had to cut some down. There's no unrated version, so I just had to go with this version. Um, but no, I think well, I could just go through the cons first and then the pros because it's kind of hard to talk about this because the plot's kind of muddled. But Gabriel Macht, I've seen this actor in a couple things. He's one of my biggest issues with it. I've seen him in this. I've seen him in Whiteout with Kate Beckinsale. I didn't like him in that. I've seen him in SWAT Firefight, which also not a good movie, and he was bad in it. And yeah, overall, I don't really ever understand why Hollywood tried to make him a big thing because I just don't think he's that talented. He's kind of all right looking, but you barely see his face given that he's wearing a mask over his eyes. So literally anybody could have played this. But yeah, his acting is very meh, very lifeless at many times, and I think it kind of does hurt that the villain overshadows him so much in this because Samuel Jackson looks to be having a lot of fun with this role. Um, uh, the the story, the story here, just like it's both. The story here is both insanely overcomplicated and way too simple somehow. It's like the main story is just the main plot is that the villain, the octopus, steals this blood of Hercules thing that will turn him into even more of a god, even though he's already basically invincible. And Ava Mendez's character Sans Serif steals it from him, and yeah, that's most of the plot. And but this film kind of isn't structured well. It kind of bounces all over the place. This is Frank Miller's first actual directing credit because the only reason uh Frank Miller got a director's credit on Sin City and Sin City: A Dame to Kill For was because it was replicate certain shots were replicating his comic panels, and it seems like he's making this too much like a comic in a way to the point where it doesn't work as a movie at times, but can only work as a comic. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think personally he should have chosen somebody else to direct this because some of the direction is a bit off. There's a lot of shots where they aren't composed well. There's like this shot of a character that Samuel Jackson and Scarlett Johansson's characters tell to seppuku himself, and the shot is just them walking back and forth behind him while talking, and it kind of feels like they didn't have anything set up for the shot, so it just kind of feels a bit weird. And that kind of happens a few times in the film, and it kind of gives away that Frank Miller hasn't really directed anything. Um, so yeah, that was definitely a bit of a letdown directing wise. Um, that there's some tonal whiplash issues with a lot of stuff. You'll go from a scene of a cat disintegrating and eyes in a dish to uh the spirit trying to charm a French woman into not killing him by speaking French, and I'm guessing calling her beautiful. Uh, and this happens multiple times throughout the film where we have a jokey part and then a super serious part, and it does kind of come off a bit weird, but there are good things to this film. Again, Samuel Jackson. There's not a lot I can say about this film. Um, but Samuel Jackson definitely a highlight of the film. Even though I get annoyed when he plays the same character over and over, this is kind of a new thing for him, playing a supervillain. And I think he did a fine enough job for the kind of goofy tone a lot of this is going for. Um, the the visual style again reminds me of Sin City and Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow, which is a childhood favorite of mine that I still really love. Um, and the backgrounds still look really, really cool. I like the visual style it's going for. Um, the score by David Newman is really nice in that it has that kind of noir tone to it, and it really works to fuel the suspense of the story and some of the comedy and all the stuff. It feels like the right score for a comic book movie. And overall, this film just has a bit of a sense of fun that seems to be missing from a lot of comic book movies nowadays, where everything feels the exact same, or that there's like a thing about um well, a lot of movies nowadays are doing like the multiverse thing, which is getting pretty tiring. So it was nice to just see a comic book movie be that, a comic book movie, even if apparently it doesn't have much to do with the comics, but I feel like this is the type of movie that even if you don't consider it a good movie, you'd be able to enjoy it with having some beers with some friends and maybe even laughing at it because there are some dumb moments. There are some parts where characters don't make a lot of sense in what they're trying to do. But overall, I still did have some fun watching it, laughing along with it or at it. And yeah, I personally would watch it again over Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. But yeah, that was my review of The Spirit. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door, out.